Good. Who is it?
Poor Burke Simpson, rest his soul. There was no need to bother you, Marshal. My friend died of natural causes.
What natural causes?
Too much liquor and a weak heart, I'm afraid.
Probably.
Over here.
Acute alcoholism with congestive heart failure. Should give you something to think about, Holliday.
Yeah. I feel sorry for his daughter. The girl will take it hard. What with her approaching marriage and all.
Mr. Mackey, will you go on over to the jail? Tell Mr. Gibbs to find Miss Leon Simpson. She'll have to take over things.
Yes, sir.
Doc, come here. Take a look at his neck. What do you make of it?
You mean that puncture?
Looks like a needle mark, doesn't it?
Sure does.
Well, what does that mean?
That Mackey's theory was wrong. He didn't die of drink. He was murdered.
Oh, Wyatt Earp, Wyatt Earp, brave, courageous, and bold. Long live his fame, and long live his glory, and long may his story be told.
The Life and Legend of Wyatt Earp, starring Hugh O'Brien.
In the Tombstone, Arizona of 1881, murder was not one of the subtle arts. The usual murder victim was either shot or stabbed in the back. But Tombstone had one killer who devised a different technique, and it was up to Marshal Earp to catch this wily criminal before he himself became a victim.
You think that old man Simpson was poisoned?
If you want to poison a man, you don't have to use a needle.
Then what was the needle for?
He put air into an artery or a vein with it. That's what Dr. Goodfellow says.
What would that do?
Well, the victim was dead in about 1 minute.
Doctor, your postmortem showing it?
Yes. My theory was right. The air bubble caused a block in circulation and death.
I wonder why the murderer chose such a complicated way.
To fool Wyatt into thinking the death was a natural one?
Well, whoever it was went to an awful lot of trouble for nothing. He's already made his first mistake. He'll make another.
That's right. They generally do.
Do you have anything to go on, Wyatt?
Just that Mr. Simpson didn't care for the young man that was courting his daughter.
Well, it's a lead for what it's worth.
Miss Simpson, I'm sorry about your father.
We'll do everything we can to help.
Thank you.
You feel well enough to answer a few questions?
Yes, sir.
Won't you sit down? I understand you're engaged to Mr. Hal Babcock, the foreman of the Bonanza mine. Did your father like him?
No. But Hal understood. Papa wasn't himself. He was drinking a lot, you know.
Did your father ever threaten him?
Please, Marshal. I can't talk anymore now.
All right. Come on, I'll let Mr. Gibbs take you.
I don't understand this, Marshal. You act like old man Simpson was murdered.
He was.
And you think I killed him?
Mr. Babcock, we're investigating his death. Now, let's take a look inside, shall we? Doc.
Well, if you'll tell me what you're looking for, I'll help you find it. I don't own a gun. There's a knife in that drawer. There's an axe over here. There's some rope outside.
Doc.
It's been cleaned with alcohol.
Where'd you get it?
I never saw that thing before.
And how did it get in your trunk?
Well, I don't know. It's not mine. Wait a minute. Has that got something to do with Mr. Simpson's death?
Where were you last night, Mr. Babcock?
I don't have to tell you that.
I said, where were you?
I don't have to tell you anything, and I won't.
All right, then you're under arrest. You know, Doc, I think we got the wrong man. Hal Babcock couldn't find an artery with a hard rock drill.
You're right, Deacon. Now tell me why he doesn't give himself an alibi.
I think we better go ask Miss Leon some more questions.
Let me do the asking. I'm not as chivalrous as you are. Miss Leon, do you know you have quite a reputation in Tombstone?
I do?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean?
In the last year, you've had more dates and men calling on you than any 3 women in the county.
I suppose I have.
Oh, there are quite a few theories about your popularity. Perhaps you have one of your own?
What are you trying to say, Dr. Holliday?
That people gossip about you.
You mean they think I'm bad?
Are they wrong?
They most certainly are, and so are you. Now, will you please get out of my house?
I'm sorry, Miss Leon. I'm sure the doc didn't mean any offense.
Well, I'm sure he did. I have nothing more to say, Marshal.
That isn't going to help Babcock much.
Help him?
Mr. Babcock isn't being too cooperative. He won't tell us where he was last night.
Last night? You mean you think he killed my father?
Can you tell us where he was?
He was with me.
Well, now, why didn't he tell us that?
I don't know.
Miss Leon, who were the other men before you became engaged?
Ease off, Doc. Miss Leon, I think you need some rest. You've been under quite a strain. We'll leave you now.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Doc? Mr. Gibbs, bring Mr. Babcock out.
Yes, sir.
Doc, you find out who bought this hypodermic. Check with Dr. Goodfellow and then the drugstore.
What about that girl?
You stay away from her. I'll handle it my own way. Mr. Babcock, I'm not going to hold you any longer, but I hope that you'll answer me one question before you go.
Well, that depends on what it is.
I want to know the names of the other men who courted Miss Leon Simpson.
I can't answer that, Marshal.
Why not?
Well, let's say I have plans.
What kind of plans?
I might even solve the murder for you.
Oh?
Somebody put that hypodermic needle in my trunk, figuring you'd find it and arrest me.
You realize, don't you, that whoever killed Mr. Simpson is very dangerous?
I'll be real careful.
Mr. Babcock, at least you've been warned.
Thank you.
Follow him.
Well, he's a real sure enough smart aleck. He's going to solve the murder for you.
His first logical move would be to go after the man he thinks framed him.
Going to get himself killed, too. He ain't even got a gun.
He can buy one. You keep after him.
About old man Simpson. I understand he got some bad liquor.
Yeah, they didn't get it in here.
Gibbons, I want you. Turn around. I said turn around.
Give me that gun. See that.
But he threw me first.
Shoulder wound, Wyatt. It ain't bad.
What happened?
Well, it's like the boy says. You draw him first.
Get him over to Dr. Goodfellow.
Lord save us, it's Tom Gibbons. Is it mortal?
Nope, just a shoulder wound.
Well, I got a spring wagon outside. We'll haul him in that.
Good idea, Mackie.
Now, easy. Easy, Doc.
Mr. Babcock, you bought this gun with the intention of killing Mr. Gibbons. You came here for that purpose. Why?
Marshal, Gibbons killed Mr. Simpson. And he tried to frame me for it.
Why would he do that?
Well, you'll have to ask Leon. She'll have to tell you that.
All right. I'll talk to her again. In the meantime, you stay close.
Marshal? What about Gibbons?
It's my business, not yours.
Sure Hal's all right.
Not a scratch on him. But he may be prosecuted for assault.
Because he shot Mr. Gibbons? Well, that's unfair.
Why?
Well, he was jealous of Hal. Mr. Gibbons used to call on me until my father put a stop to it.
Now, why didn't you tell me that earlier today?
I didn't think it mattered.
Your father ever threatened Mr. Gibbons?
When Papa had too much to drink, he threatened everybody who even came near me. Papa didn't trust people. He was just terrible to everyone.
Terrible?
Yes, he'd shout and yell, and we'd just chase them all away. I hated him for it.
Why was he so violent about it?
I don't know. I suppose it's because he was afraid I'd get married. Since Mama died, he never wanted to be alone. He didn't want me to leave home.
I see.
I talked to Mr. Mackey about it.
Stableman?
Papa liked him. He tried to make him understand, but it just didn't work. Mr. Mackey was my only friend for a long time.
What about your fiancé, Hal Babcock? Did your father threaten him, too?
Hal was the only one Papa couldn't run off. He used to come right up to the house. Papa didn't like that either. Told Hal straight out he'd kill him.
Thank you.
Marshal, are you going to arrest Hal?
No. Hi, Doc.
Wyatt, I heard young Babcock shot Tom Gibbons.
He thinks Gibbons murdered Leon's father and tried to put the blame on him.
Plausible.
But you don't believe it either.
There was bad blood between Gibbons and Babcock. Dr. Goodfellow isn't missing a syringe, and the druggist hasn't sold one lately.
Neither of them recognize this one?
They don't keep records, Wyatt.
Now, let's go on over and talk to Mr. Gibbons. Hello, Doc.
What?
Where's Mr. Gibbons?
In the hospital room.
Can we see him?
Well, he's pretty weak. He's lost a lot of blood, but I don't see why not. Don't stay too long.
Tom? Tom. Tom, wake up.
Dr. Goodfellow. Dr. Goodfellow.
He's dead. He's dead.
Look.
It's the same technique, Wyatt.
That's what I thought. I want a post-mortem.
I could use your help. Definitely. No question at all.
We're dealing with a monster.
How many people were here when Mr. Gibbs brought him in?
Oh, a dozen, maybe 15. I didn't count them.
But the outside door and back was open.
Well, then it could be anybody.
I still think that girl knows more than she's told you.
You suspect Leon?
I grant you the needlework isn't feminine, Doctor. But from what I found out, Leon had plenty of trouble with her father and some with Mr. Gibbons.
Well, we know that Simpson didn't like Gibbons. We know that Mr. Babcock didn't like either one of them. Maybe we're being too logical. Maybe our murder isn't at all logical.
Well, logical or not, he might go right on killing.
I think you're right. Now, Miss Leon, I want the name of every man who ever called on you.
I thought you were my friend.
Look, your father is dead, and now Mr. Gibbons is dead. Hal could be next, and then you, and then one of those other men.
Or one of us, why?
Mr. Mackey.
I heard you was here. Now, what's happening here?
Mr. Mackey, they want to know the names of everyone who came to see me.
No, Leon.
Marshal Earp's just doing what we pay him to do.
Well, I can't help that. There's enough gossip already. And Hal won't like it either. He'll get jealous.
Now, what's he got to be jealous about? Heh. He knew plenty of girls before he met you.
I don't intend to make the names public.
Now, you've done nothing disgraceful. Now, you just step right up. You tell Marshal Earp whatever he wants to know.
All right, I'll write the names down.
Good girl.
Here's pencil and paper. Hey, by the way, Mr. Mackey, you're sort of a horse doctor, aren't you?
Well, there's considerable difference of opinion on that. Of course, I can drench a horse or fix a saddle sore, but...
Did you ever use a hypodermic needle?
Me? What for?
Mr. Simpson died in your stable last night, and today you took Mr. Gibbons over to Dr. Goodfellow's in your wagon.
And you were still there when I left to find Wyatt.
You seem awfully friendly with everybody.
Well, Burke Simpson and Tom Gibbons were friends of mine. What is this, anyway? You're joshing me, huh, Marshal?
No, you had the opportunity.
To kill two good friends of mine. Now, what would I want to do that for?
Nobody said you done it.
Well, I don't even know how they died. Doc here said something about a hyposyringe.
Not a syringe. I said needle.
Well, it's the same thing, ain't it? Did Burke and Tom die of poisoning, you think?
Here are the names.
Thank you.
Is even Mr. Mackey suspected?
Well, it kind of looks that way, child. Now, if you're aiming to put me under arrest, Marshal, I would appreciate it if you'd give me time to do my night feeding and bedding down first.
Marshal Earp, this is ridiculous. First Hal and now Mr. Mackey.
Why is it ridiculous?
Mr. Mackey was the only friend Papa had or even trusted. He was Papa's friend.
Now, don't trial the law, darling. All I'm asking is a chance to feed my horses and hire a relief man.
I won't keep you, Mr. Mackey.
Now, you're being real sensible, Marshal. Come along, Leon. I'll take you home.
I'm trusting you with that list, Marshal.
Well, sir, it's a mighty fidgeting puzzle.
Wyatt, it could have been Mackey.
Yeah, he made one slip. Said syringe instead of needle. That means he knows something about hypodermics.
And it was too innocent the way he asked about that poison.
But why would he want to kill them fellers? Looks more to me like Babcock done it.
There's that girl, too, Gibbs.
Yeah, that's the point. Well, I'm going to check out this list. Maybe one of them will give me a motive.
We better go with you, Wyatt.
No. She gave me this in confidence. Mr. Gibbs, you go on patrol. Doc, you go on back to the hotel.
Gibbs, we got a big job to do. You go over to Simpson's place. And I'll go over to Mackey's stable.
Doc, we're gambling on Wyatt's life.
Wrong. Wyatt gambled on his own life when he went out that door.
Jack Gray?
That's right. Did I do something wrong, Marshal?
I'm trying to get some information on Mr. Mackey, the stableman.
Oh?
When you and Miss Leone were seeing each other, did anything happen that involved Mr. Mackey?
Yes, it did. He talked Leone's father out of shooting at me.
Mr. Mackey and Mr. Simpson were friends?
Oh, well, sure. They got drunk together almost every night.
How about Mr. Mackey and Mr. Gibbons?
They're very good friends, as far as I know, Marshal. Mr. Mackey's friends with everybody. Say, you don't think he had anything to do with Mr. Simpson and Gibbons being killed?
Well, I've probably done Mr. Mackey an injustice. I'll go see him. Thank you.
Mr. Mackey?
Mr. Mackey?
Just take it easy and keep your mouth shut. That's right. Drop it on the floor. Take your finger off the trigger. That's right. Just easy. That's right. Now the other one. Where I can see, if you don't mind. Easy now. That's right. Glad you came alone. I got to do this, Marshal. I can't let you arrest me. He was getting too smart. You figured it was me that killed Burke, didn't you? Well, you're right, I did. But Leone's precious Hal is going to hang for it, and Gibbons. And now they'll think he killed you. You're not to be trusted, Marshal. Like I couldn't trust Burke at all. He should have been glad I wanted to marry his daughter. I told him I loved her dear. But he wouldn't listen. Wouldn't listen at all, even though we was friends. He said he'd kill me just the same. But he didn't, did he? Now hold still.
You shouldn't have killed him.
Nonsense. I did him a favor. He would have resented being hanged.
Well, he cleaned up the country, the old Wild West country. He made law and order prevail. And none can deny it, the legend of Wyatt forever will live on the trail.
Oh, Wyatt Earp, Wyatt Earp, brave, courageous, and bold. Long live his fame, and long live his glory, and long may his story be told. Long may his story